3.3 major project 3, developing an idea. The overall assignment is quite intense. There's lots of areas going on, research, making good use of the sketchbook. These have been translated over into Padlet so that I can reflect or go backwards and forwards with the use of the timeline that I use on Padlet. I think it's a good source of documentation for me. I don't expect that when I submit this assignment for my tutor to go through absolutely everything, because I do think that now that I'm working independently, it's important for me to work in the way that I choose and then sort and select work that I wanted to see. I will attach the links of the work with the videos and my textile blog and Padlet, but I'm pretty open, because I think what happens is towards the end of a project it naturally kind of, you put the best pieces in, and I think the first thing that anybody does is they look at the beginning, sort of sifts through the middle, and they're more interested in seeing the final results. I think there's a lot of work gone into this project with finding the way in that I want to work. So I've been using my photography of the school playgrounds. Then I moved on to do some abstract drawing and my interpretation of the shapes with pipes and lines and stripes and circles and holes. Have found it very difficult with the colour palette, and I just thought, you know what, don't isolate yourself with a particular palette, because when you arrive at a park or you know, play with something, most of the time it's very colourful. So I think the materials are naturally engaging with colour palettes. I just have to select with uses of yarn. I have gone back through photographs and picked out the best of the colour palettes and started to either work in block colour or partial areas of colour, which is going to be, you know, most attractive and most appealing, because I am trying to move away from primary source colours, which I think is very difficult and so easy to fall into. The use of yarn is not causing a problem, but I am taking on board and being aware that I am using forms of creative yarn, but I'm not actually going out and buying masses of creative yarn, because I think now that I've decided to upscale some of the samples, a lot of the samples I've kind of started to attach and made them more a garment rather than in 3.2 they were kind of pinned to a mannequin. Now I'm actually sourcing performance pieces, as you will see, like the cage skirt. Also I've been looking at other forms of wearability, sort of back supports or something that fits around the waist with Velcro and so forth, so that then will start to develop into pieces of armour for Project 4, which I'm very keen to look at. I've started that process already with the research. I think it was important to kind of demonstrate also as well my knitting knowledge and technique. So when I mean I've developed and kind of adapted a way of working, I will take photographs, I will source areas, and then I will draw something that stimulates me, but also knit something that stimulates me. And as you will see in the work, the tubes that I used for demonstration of supporting the knit, how it might look quite holy or spacious, and that you can look through the knitting. Some of the knitting actually is quite complicated, and there has to be a continuous awareness of the counting, so that with each rows and part of the partial knitting, that you're actually building up the work so that it's more symmetrical rather than asymmetrical. But all in all, going back to the knitting is actually starting to source out which are my favourite techniques that then I can expand on, because what I would like to do for Project 4 is still continue to research. It will be research of armour. I would like to do more drawing, more illustrations and more ideas for design, but reduce everything right down, not necessarily going to start making samples, because I think what I've tried to do with each of these projects is put together a final sample for an exhibition. So, you know, I've accomplished that in projects 1, 2 and 3. I may, you know, make more of a simple sample for project 4, but who knows, because I don't know where the work is actually going to go. But all in all, I think project 3, there's masses of work, but like I have explained in tutorials, it is the way that I work, and it's the way that I enjoy working, because I do think it's a dyslexia trait and this creativity that everything has to be colourful and tactile. But I think all of it's now started to feed through from previous research of 3.1 and 3.2, and it's kind of all coming together without having to make references. I just now need to pick out and start to just have a little bit more of a vision, which I think I'm slowly getting there. I think I've always kind of done that halfway through projects. Project 3 didn't start off very well. I threw away 2 weeks worth of work. I could have gone back, I could have been, you know, critical and done some critical analysis about it, but I decided not to, because I just didn't like the work. Once I threw out the work, some of the samples and the sketchbook felt really clean and clear in my head to move forward and produce the work that I've done for project 3.